Board of Health meeting, Town of Mendon. We are now being recorded. Call the meeting to order. Roll call. Joyce,
Here,
Tom,
Here?
Alan, here, Jack,
Here.
Polly.
yeah,
Audience, whether they're remote or here, good and welfare for the public. Anyone have something they want to say?
We have nobody online and nobody in the public.
To business. One North Ave.
All right, this is the response that the Board of Health has posed questions to the One North Ave property. With the Board of Health and Tom Ryder posing questions to the developer. And this is their response to the Board of Health's questions.
Still reading first time seeing.
Oh, okay.
you go with.
The only question I would have is, I know the topic of a 21E came up, but it wasn't specifically mentioned. I'm assuming that's what comment number 1 under general site is supposed to be about. Correct?
I'm sorry.
So on the second page,
Page 2,
about the contamination because of the arsenic.
Site.
Right.
that's supposed to be in reference to what we were asking about a 21E.
Yes,
See, so.
yes.
But do we know definitively if there was a 21E done?
Tom said he couldn't find one.
Okay. So we never actually asked people. I mean, I guess it would have shown up in files.
I'm sure he said he would have showed up files usually when they're doing their due diligence, that they'll research everything on the property.
Well, I think, I know you would raise the question initially yourself.
Yeah,
Um,
I've experienced that with commercial properties. Properties that there's a question about what may have existed on the property prior.
right,
So I'm not familiar with 21 feet. I think actually for a lot of commercial, industrial type properties, change hands, I believe it's almost a standard thing.
Mhm.
Now, this was an agricultural property.
Mhm.
I don't know who did the financing for this particular project.
But it was also a house. I mean, it was a family home too. That was there.
So I don't, I don't know if any financial institution requested a 21E.
Mhm.
I mean, we can be more specific and ask the question again.
well, just the response is kind of vague in my view. So what are the state standards? You might know from a health agent perspective or experience in the past.
I would imagine that, during the soil analysis, that whatever was discovered will be reported on the design itself. And if they do have any concerns with any of the conditions that may exist in the soil, that they would be addressed at that time as well.
And I believe the soil analysis was done.
Yes.
It was, but we have not received them.
Yeah, so we have it, so when we get the septic plans, the septic system design, they'll have the square regarding the soil analysis, and you'll be able to, they'll address if there's any concerns. Tom, I'm sure, will address any concerns that the board should have. Joyce, I'm sure, will pick up on it as well.
Right,
Yeah, to my knowledge,
Your keen eye.
yeah,
usually when a 21 is done, there's a test well that's left behind. And the test well is so that they can monitor in the future. I work on a few problems where and the test well is because and I know why it's there, because my involvement is different properties. So I don't know if they did everything like that there, because that would stay in existence so that they can monitor things later. Very similar to what they do in the street.
right,
Gas
Station.
station.
Right.
And I don't. That was
they had a problem, yes,
situation,
yeah,
so you will.
Into the water, into the well.
They had testing, and they're using those test wells.
right.
They have a metal cap and that would be a thing, so I don't know if that was done over there or not.
I think that if they do that, it would be dictated by what they find, what they determine in the soil analysis.
It's a positive answer. That they're gonna fully comply with compliant state standards, but
Yeah,
state standards on its own.
it's positive, but vague only because I don't know if we all know what that means. State standards.
What if you reached out to Tom Ryder? And just highlight concern of all the meetings and ask his opinion? Should ask the question again,
Mhm.
to be more specific as to for 21.
21 E.
If that, yeah.
Okay.
If that's required, Tom Ryder may say that is nothing that we need to worry about.
And I'm assuming that the comment probably came from Tom Noel initially, right?
The comments came from us, the Board of Health and Tom Ryder, yes.
Oh, so I'm assuming Tom specifically, right, as opposed to yourself, or
Those were the questions. I didn't reword anything, so whatever he asked, I'm assuming they copy and pasted what was asked.
yeah, so they actually coming from Tom.
Yeah.
It'd just be more of an FYI to, I think internally, from my perspective, just to get an idea of what that means by state standards.
Doesn't hurt to
Okay.
ask the question.
Yeah, I don't think it's, this say means we have to go back out to these folks.
Right.
Yeah.
Start with Tom.
Okay.
It sounds like when we point out the soil analysis, that will, once that's viewed, that'll pick up any potential issues with any.
Situations with that.
They addressed the
Yeah.
board's concerns right here
Absolutely, yeah.
about the previous use of the property, and that the board requests a site assessment to be provided, identifying and evaluating any existing or potential contamination. It's right here. And so they, and they acknowledge,
That's why I assumed that had to do with the 21E.
right, and they, acknowledge that they'll fully comply.
They say that.
Right.
though.
Yes,
Yes.
yep. So they're aware of the board's concern. That's, that's the good thing, is that they're aware of the board's concern.
This is just give clarification.
Mhm.
By him. Whether or not we should use this. If Tom says it's good the way it is, that's great. Things that we should specific in asking for his wine. He's the expert.
Yep.
Else on this? See this time. One, two. Audience.
Nope.
We're gonna move on to 43 Blackstone Street.
All right. So for 43 Blackstone Street, as we all know, I have been trying to get a Title V on this property.
almost a year.
Yes, I first noticed the lack of the Title V back in January of 2023. The month of the transfer of the property occurred in February of 2021. So in January of 2023, I sent a letter asking for a Title V since it was a transfer of property. Got no response. The second Title V request follow-up was on Monday, March 20th of 2023. Again, no response, no follow-up. And the third response was sent out certified mail on October 13th, 2023. And me and Colleen have both reached out to them. Alan, I believe you talked to Peter Pereira at one point,
I talked to some of his, I'll call them employees.
employees, and just ignoring us.
I thought he was gonna be coming here. Did we ask him to?
We requested and no response.
And this is the same gentleman that owns a property at 5 Megan Court and owns a property on Taft Ave. Now,
Correct.
Taft Ave.
Taft Ave we have.
Into compliance,
Correct.
which is good.
Yep.
And the Board of Health has no issues with 5 Megan Court.
Nope.
So this is the problem property.
How was that, out of curiosity, the request administered?
First request was first class mail, second request, first class mail, third request they do certified, and it was picked up.
And we also had him served
Right.
by the
And certified
constable.
thing.
And then we also, yeah, oh yeah, no, we had the constable, we had Peter, we had, oh, what's his name, Jack? And then we also asked, we sent him an email because we have his email address and we asked if he would give me permission to go on the property so I could just take a look at the system, make sure that there was no, breakout or anything like that. And we haven't received any response.
And we had the constable, Peter Powers.
Yep, yeah, he served him.
That was in January of this year.
Right.
So,
Just out of curiosity, in lieu of no response, out of concern, the health perspective, would that give us the ability to go onto the property without access, since we're not getting an actual approval?
I don't
Could we
recommend
take
that.
the step to do that based on?
Only if we received a complaint that there was actual storage on the ground. I personally think that we've taken every step that we can possibly take with the gentleman. I think it's time to consult with, town council on the next step, and it could just be a letter from town council, but we could also follow, Title V requirements and, start a condemnation process.
Right.
If the board so choose to do so. So I was thinking that maybe, Jack and I were talking about that maybe we should get Karis's take on it first. Because that's where we are. Jack and I have done everything that we possibly can to, engage the property owner and let him know. I mean, at one point in time, remember he even told us, they called about,
Getting the-
the septic design, because they were gonna have a Title V inspector do the Title V report, and Jack and I were like, great.
I drove by and I swear I saw a guy in a pumping truck and there was a
I
guy
did.
sitting in the cesspool.
Yeah, I
He had
remember you
popped the
saying
cover
that.
and his legs were in the hole and he was sitting there.
Yeah, so we were hopeful,
So I was expecting a report
so were we.
and I'm appreciative to the fact that he cleared up his other address
Mhm.
over on Taft Ave. So he knows the process and he knows why we can't seem to help him get into compliance with this Blackstone Street property. I don't know. It's occupied. They have good sized parties on the weekends.
Yes,
There's a lot of kids.
yes, I see when I go to Vanderbilt.
There's some sort of a structure there now that I would assume houses some form of livestock. That you can see from the street.
Mhm.
I don't know why we can't seem to get him to let us help him get this one into compliance.
That, you mentioned that saw a company, that was Joyce, you saw the company doing some pumping?
Right.
Yeah, I don't remember, well, I think can't remember the names. So I don't want to say
Yeah,
anything. and be wrong.
I don't know, because I just.
There was a
went by
name I
and
recognized.
thought, oh, that's somebody different doing a, finally doing something,
Breaking up.
finally doing something for the septic system, because I thought that was gonna be good. I said, oh, they're taking care of it.
I'm gonna excuse myself for a moment, see if I can't raise the property.
But you wouldn't actually catch the name on that truck.
No,
And then
you
we
know,
could just make
I-
a phone call ourselves.
I mean, it wasn't even
Right.
something that I think that you
Whatever
could see
it
from the side. It was in there like this and you knew it was pumping. But you couldn't, I didn't, see.
Right.
Exactly, and I think about going in there and saying, what's up, Doc?
And I'm gonna say I'm 99% sure I don't have a pumping record,
No,
because 43 Blackstone would have popped in my head and like,
Right.
aha. But I don't believe I received a pumping record.
you know, I mean, the thing is that we've proven, I think, time and again with him that, we're ready, willing and able to work with them, help them through the process,
Yeah,
And I was really hopeful when that gentleman called us and asked us for the septic design. Jack and I were like, hoorah,
Well, was it last week? I received another phone call that somebody was interested in getting but this property doesn't have any plans on file at all for the design.
right. Cause it's just a trailer.
Thank you. It went right to voicemail. I left a message. I asked him to contact the health office so that we can help him get into compliance.
I mean, this is a long time.
that's why I think maybe we should consult with Karis, and sometimes too, whether Karis advises us to, that she would send a letter off on her letterhead. Sometimes that is the
Helps.
movement that,
Yeah, let's send her an email. Give her the short story. And see what she can do to maybe help us, help him.
yeah, so I said, I mean, all of our correspondence and everything that we've done, I mean, I think that, I'd be surprised if he hasn't realized by now that we're here to help.
Yeah.
We're
right.
willing to help.
Yeah.
We're willing to help you bring your property into compliance.
Well, again, he knows the process because he did it recently on one of his other properties,
Mhm.
which I'm very appreciative to. Let's get this one that he's had longer
Mhm.
on the same page.
You know-
That would be great.
Right, and even just to grant permission for myself or Stevie Donatelli to go out and take a look at it, it's, because we're blind right now, so we don't know what's going on. It's not like the other two properties that we're monitoring right now, that are both, to see the stability of the system, you
Right.
know?
I don't know, but I'll make an assumption that maybe because it appears to be functioning
Mhm.
and not leaking out of the ground.
Mhm.
Fortunately, with the leach pit, as we know, have learned, that's not gonna cut it. That's not gonna pass Title V. So maybe because it's not showing signs of failure, so to speak, thinks it's okay. And we
Well,
explain to him that it's not.
right. I'd be curious too, though, because, the amount of pumps also dictates a failure.
And the
So if
amount of
he's-
people.
Right, but if he's pumping it, on a, monthly or bi-monthly
Yeah, I can't
basis,
say-
that's also indicates a failure.
I've seen anything there since I thought I witnessed what was a Title V going on. Gonna get paperwork soon. I can't say I've seen, and I probably go by it 4 times a day. So I at least I can't say that I've seen any other activity like that. Other than the people that are living there, like I said, now there's a structure that houses some form of livestock. It could be chickens, I don't know.
Mhm.
So other than the people that are living there, coming and going and doing their social activities on the weekends, that's all I've witnessed. All right. So we're gonna move on if, unless, somebody has anything else to comment. We're gonna go to Board of Health meetings, review and approval.
We will be bypassing that topic. Tom and I haven't had a chance to get together and to review the minutes and update them.
I had the call to take a vacation last week.
How dare you?
I don't even believe it.
Nope, that's fine.
Okay, so
that on
I'm
the next-
putting
Yeah,
these in
I
the
brought
back
them
of
with
the
me
folder again.
right here, in case I needed them. All right.
And but just from the general topic of minutes, just a general question. So we're now pretty much caught up, right? So I'm wondering moving forward. And I would direct the question to you because I don't, on a daily basis, not knowing your workload day to day. Would you be able to present meeting minutes at the very next meeting
Most
after,
definitely.
after the previous one? Was
Yep.
that too much
No.
going on with that? with
No,
the-
because when we have our meeting on Wednesdays, Friday's my cleanup from the rest of the week.
Yeah.
And usually on Fridays is when I'm doing minutes. That's why I'm getting caught up. So once we're caught up, when we have a meeting tonight, this Friday, I'll start transcribing the minutes.
If that's possible as a standard, then we can get into it.
I'll tell you,
I didn't want to assume that, not knowing what,
assume away, I can do it.
assume away.
Assume away.
Don't tell me to,
Wait.
don't tell me to assume away.
No, it'll definitely be more efficient. because
Oh, yeah,
everything will
definitely.
be fresh in our minds.
Yeah.
And we'll have no problem being in compliance with that 30-day or so turnaround that they like to see.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of getting out of the hole.
Yeah. Yeah, no problem.
All right. So we're gonna move on to old business. 28 Bellingham Street, Mendon's old landfill.
All right, so for 28 Bellingham Street, there was a concern with one of the monitoring wells. It was SG-1, which is at the top left-hand corner of the property. There was poison ivy that we were made aware of around the testing well. With Chairman Greenberg's suggestion, we sprayed some, not pesticide, but
Special-
Vinegar solution.
vinegar solution on the poison ivy itself, and it really dried up the poison ivy very well. So yesterday, I do want to give a shout out though beforehand to Dan Byer from the Parks Department who helped with this project. Isabella from the Concon Commission, she helped me out find one of the missing wells I could not locate for the life of me. And especially John Dudley, the highway surveyor, who went down there with a tractor and the big mower to make a path at each individual well on the property.
Oh,
Nice.
Awesome.
It's very good.
So as you
Thank you all.
Thank you all.
So as you can see from the pictures before you, the week before, on September 4th, I went down to before and after, as you can see how heavy the brush is.
Yeah.
And on the right-hand side is the after picture of John Dudley clearing a pathway so the Atlas people can get in there and monitor the wells properly. So that was for SG-1. For monitoring well number 4 and monitoring well number 3. Those were already easy access, so I didn't have to do anything. John didn't have to do anything, so those are already walkable to get to. Soil gas monitoring well number 4, again, clear path to the well. Monitoring well number 2, which is also known as MW-2A. This was the one I could not find for the life of me. I walked up and down this property. I'm like, I cannot. So Isabella went out with me with those young eyes and she spotted it for me. So we were able to get to a nice clear path to it.
Just looking at the 2A, you call it?
The one I couldn't find was MW-2A. So it's the right-hand side, bottom, the red one.
On this map?
Yep. So go
Right
down.
here, Jim, right there.
Oh, in the red. Okay. Looking for green. Ah, okay.
It was just off into the woods enough.
Yep.
Yeah, the brush just really overgrown over the well. I just could not see
Yeah.
it.
Awesome.
Job,
Yeah.
very good job.
And now you'll be able to.
Now you can find it at night.
The board want to consider sending a formal letter of thank you and acknowledgement to each of the individuals be recognized for assistance or let it be as
But you
is?
know what? It's always nice.
It's always
That-
Yeah, and
it
I
never hurts.
wonder if,
I would be
Bobby
great.
should maybe go to, select board town administrator.
Town administrator, sure.
I think that's.
And Tom, may I assume that you could write that letter for us?
I could,
Because you're a good wordsmith and,
Yeah, we love your words.
gonna put in big letters, thank you.
oh, that's it.
No,
No,
no, something more on POH letterhead.
yeah, yeah, no, it's definitely appreciated and,
Yeah.
the,
Certainly makes our
town
life.
administrator and
fun.
select board should know the cooperation that goes
Yeah.
on a daily basis. between-
Absolutely. And communication too.
Between the boards.
Yeah, yeah, I missed the comment you made about the town administrator.
To include him on thank you.
Put him on.
Yes.
Because obviously he'll pass it on to the select board.
Mhm.
But, it's real easy to reach out to somebody when you have a problem.
Mhm.
But to reach out to say thank you when
Yeah,
they.
thank you
help
goes a
us
long way.
solve A problem.
Yeah. Nice.
It's always a good thing to do.
Yeah, much better anticipation than I ever would think about what
No,
would be done.
Everybody's list is like this, so
Mhm.
when we can,
Make
get
it
something
work.
done,
Work together,
it's,
so important.
Most important, communication too.
Yeah,
Since we're on the topic of the address, the other element down there with the basin.
But I talked to John about that. He's dealing with paving right now. He goes, that's on my list, but he's got
Slow down.
paving on a couple of streets this week that he's working on.
Talking about kind of down, still further down the line.
Yeah, so he said probably beginning of fall, he said.
Okay.
I know that's coming close.
they did have some issues with their backhoe, mechanical issues that
Uh,
slowed them down a little bit.
I know they had just a lot of work.
I know one of his trucks only had 2,000 miles on it and it's already in the shop for a slip transmission.
But
Uh,
better now than later, but
Mm.
you don't like to be down a piece of equipment.
Mm-mm.
Got one of yours.
Sure, why not? I'll take a vacation. Okay, so in the essence of keeping the meeting moving along,
this is a good job.
I was very impressed by the outcome of how it looks now.
Yeah. Great teamwork.
That's right. Together,
This-
everyone
this
sees
is-
more.
This is nice for us as well. You know,
Mhm.
that we can see if we decide, oh, maybe I'll go look and see, because back in the day, that was my place, you know, like,
So what I will do, and just in follow-up, then I'll respond back to Greg Root from DEP, where kind of the question came up originally, and
Right.
Jen from Atlas, just to say, hey, all
Yep.
set,
We're all clear.
you're cleared.
You're good
And
to go.
I believe they were initially targeting next Monday, give or take a day or two. I'll
Yep.
see if they have a firm date. But,
Good. Just in time.
yeah, and Jack and I had talked about, maybe a quarterly visit down there, just to, especially during the growing season, just to make sure that things stay that way now. We even went as far as, a possible, go bag that would have different things like this, vinegar solution, some survey stakes, whatever we think we might need in a small bag.
Right.
To make sure that
right.
these things
Yeah,
stay clear.
Yeah.
Can of bee spray in case you would have
Yeah,
seen
sure.
bees down there, because I thought that was an issue at one point. When they went to take some samples, I thought that some bees might have got up under one of the covers
Oh.
or something. I vaguely remember that, but if we had some sort of a program, and again, mainly during the growing season,
Right,
where you know, 30-minute, 45-minute round trip.
Yeah.
You go down, you check it all out, make sure everything's good to go, and we won't have,
This heavy problem.
yeah,
The
we
brush
presented with
all over it.
something like this.
Yeah.
And it gives us a lot more lead time to correct something if a tree were to fall
Mhm.
that we're not gonna know about.
Yeah.
We can get it corrected.
correct.
Sounds good.
Okay. We'll move on to Board of Health admin updates, please.
All right, so for Eversource property or Providence Street update, we're gonna let Colleen take that over because she's the one that passes it.
Oh,
Basis practically.
happy to report that they have installed a gate.
Hey, excellent.
Yep, and it looks like, from what I could see, I didn't stop. I mean, I go by it, 2 times a day. They made an area as you come in, it's like a ramp now, and the gate is up here. They installed the posts, and now yesterday they put the gate up, and it looks like the mattresses that were on the right-hand side are gone. Now, like driving by Monday, I'll stop and I'll go up and I'll take a peek and make sure. I don't know if they cheeked them over this way, but if they were there, if they're not there, you can't see, I couldn't see them from the road, but the gate is installed.
And,
There
and,
was some other, I'm sorry, there was some other components other than mattresses, right?
yeah, there are other junk there.
Yeah, it was farther up. It was farther up. We'd have to actually go up the road. We'd have to go four-wheeling again.
Sorry.
Okay, so the good news is positive progress.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Was there any response back to you from that letter?
No voicemail, call back,
Okay,
no email
so
response.
we get some action.
I was just gonna say action speaks louder than words.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do
so
you think they have a camera that?
I was driving by, so, but Monday I'll stop and I'll take a look. I want to see about the mattresses and I'll see about, if there's a camera there.
So I would think it's be in their interest to have a camera, but. What do I?
Now, the way that they built that now, and you can't access on the sides any longer. And the gate is farther up. You'd be dumping before the gate right in the plain sight of everybody.
Good.
And you can't, and the other thing, excuse me, with the gate is, before you could go up in there, dump, turn around and drive out. You can't do that anymore. It's like a long driveway is what it is, and the gate's up here, so if you stop, there's no place for you to turn around. You're back and back out again.
Yeah, so,
No, mattresses though, they were kind of, sounds like they were deposited close to the street. No?
No, they were like up this
That's-
driveway now
Yeah,
on the
they were
right-hand
close.
side.
Up the road a piece.
Yeah.
I went by them back in the day and said, there's some mattress there
Mhm.
too. And then the ladies came. And I was like, geez, that was ironic because I had just gone by there and seen, I think I told you, I saw this mattress is there.
well, now the door's not open, so you're not
Right.
getting an open invitation.
Correct.
Right.
And if everything is cleaned up, it's less likely to breed more
Yeah.
trash.
Well, they're not, it's gonna be very difficult to breed
Yeah.
more trash because of the way they have it, the way that they
Good
have it
for
set
them.
up now.
Yeah. So I mean, it's good for everybody.
Yeah,
And we'll wait till the next meeting.
Yeah.
for-
yeah, I'll
Follow.
definitely stop on Monday and I'll take a look and see for the mattresses.
All right, so now we'll move on if nobody objects to flu clinics.
All right, so the flu clinics is now open for registration. The senior center has scheduled their flu clinic on Wednesday, October 2nd. And that is from 9:30 a.m. to 11 a.m. at the senior center.
And what flu, what are they doing? Just flu?
Just flu shots.
Flu.
They're not doing the super shots. They're just doing regular standard flu
Regular,
shots.
Yeah,
And again, the Misco Hill Middle Schools is on Tuesday, October 15th, and that's from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. But they are active, both are active for registration.
and Jack's flyer. I love it.
Yeah,
Flu vaccine before Halloween,
It's right.
you poet.
It's right.
Tom, can you top that?
Yeah, right.
No candy for you. All right. All right, so we're good.
Yep.
Very good. Thank you very much for getting that scheduled with the help of our VNA program,
And Labonte.
which is always great. You do a good job. We'll go to health agent updates, please.
32 Hastings Street, I spoke with Shad and Reardon, and they are in the process of getting the septic design finalized and submitted to the board for Tom's review.
fine.
Yep.
It's been a while.
I think that they're going, from what I understand, that they just had some questions that they needed to,
Address.
4549 Uxbridge Road, they did, commence with the jackhammering for a small period of time, last week. We received a complaint. I went up there, of course, they weren't jackhammering. But I spoke with the resident. She was appreciative of the board's attention. I also reached out to Sean Reardon, asked him, he said the jackhammering is over. If they do any more, it's gonna be up in the back of the property and it will be intermittently. It will not be as consistently as it has been.
So blasting is definitely done.
The blasting is done and we have it on the calendar for the 45 days for the post-blast well testing. It's October.
Yep.
Something like that.
Yeah, first week of
That
October.
first week of October. And really honestly, through the whole process, and it was a, difficult impact to the neighbors, in particular, who I believe they're very appreciative of the board's interest in, in their, in the issues that they had, and did our best to address the issues with them and worked with them and communicated with them. And I have to say that also too, that Sean Reardon, has always communicated with,
Responsive.
yes, very much so. And it really truly is, it's a pleasure working with them because that line of communication is established now and we communicate with each other regularly
No, excellent.
and it's effective.
No, it was definitely appreciative when he showed up at our meeting. And got to see him face to face and talk
Yeah.
with him and, bounce a few things off, learn about him.
Yeah.
So I look at that relationship continuing.
Absolutely.
I think as I recall, from previous meeting, the plan would be from the 45-day post-test that will be done in October. Those results will be evaluated to make a determination whether or not any future
Mhm.
testing would be done.
Mhm.
And has that also been in conversation with Tom Ryder as well, just out of
Mhm.
curiosity? Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Tom's on board with the whole thing.
Okay.
Yep. Absolutely. Tom is on board with the whole thing. And the thing is that what Sean would like to do is he would like to come in and discuss the well test results in pre-blast and post-blast. But he wants releases from the property owners to be able to do
Sure.
that because we
Makes
have
sense.
not received some of the pre-blast well tests yet and we've requested them.
How many do we have in hand?
2,
2 out of 8,
I want to say 7.
7.
7. Yep.
And we've reached out to the other 5.
No, with the other, Sean Reardon reached out for them to give him the release of the well reports.
Okay, yeah.
Yep.
So
So that
there's-
he would be able to, sorry, Jack, so that he would
Yep.
be able to discuss it.
So he just hasn't had any responses from the 5.
Correct.
Would,
But we also reached out through Peter. Our
Peter
contact,
Lyman.
yep, for the others and, haven't received them.
I would say maybe reach out to them one last time before we have our meeting.
Mhm.
Giving them one more opportunity. And, obviously express the urgency of getting that release in so that we can move forward. If not, we can really only move forward on the 2 properties that we have the complete information,
Mhm.
which we will, but we really want to include
Everybody.
all the neighbors
Mhm.
that, feel as though they're affected by this. So maybe, like I said, when we get that date, give them one last opportunity, not only to do the release, but to appear at the meeting,
Yeah, good point.
because they're more than welcome to appear, either in person or electronically.
what's been the mechanism for the reach outs? Been a phone call, basically, and he's leaving a message or?
It was a letter by the Board of Health for the first round. I haven't done anything else. But Sean Reardon said he's the one that has to get the releases from them to get those, unless they want to give them to us personally.
Right, so, what has Sean been doing in his reach out attempts? Has he been basically just calling them and trying to,
That I'm not too sure of.
I'm just curious what the method of communication has been. from
I think
Sean.
he's been in touch with them.
So he's actually conversed with all of them.
It's my understanding.
Okay. And they
Yes.
just haven't responded back yet with,
Well, I think he's had conversations with them. Obviously, when he, received the well reports for the individual properties, he gave them to the individual property owners.
right.
So he has a line of communication with them. What he's looking for now is to have them execute releases so that Sean can come in and discuss with the board the post and pre-blast well test results. Because the board has asked them to consider additional testing. But we all agreed that we would wait to see what the post-blast testing results are and compare them with the pre-blast testing. But Sean said that he doesn't want to discuss the pre-blast testing, well, test results with the board unless the property owners agree to, because he feels it's their personal information.
So that piece though about the lease part, is he communicating via phone? Is he sending, he do a letter looking for the release?
Well, when he was here, I believe that he said that he would be sending them the release form.
So I think they have to
And-
sign it, giving it a
But-
release.
Right,
So I'm just
So
curious.
that's what I'm assuming.
Well, just
Again, I'm assuming, yeah.
pin it down and just confirm. I'm just curious if that's what he's done, if he's actually sent these releases in the mail with some sort of intro, asking for them to sign off,
mhm.
type of thing. I'm just, kind of down.
We'll follow up.
Well, yeah, to your point, depending upon the, age of some of the, residents, they may communicate in different forms.
I mean, if
Some
it's,
may use email, some may not.
well, I'm assuming he probably sent that form via what I'll call sneaker mail.
Hmm.
To the address, right, through the post office. You know,
I
like
don't
that's
know.
versus
Yeah.
sending it as an attachment in an email for somebody to print out. I think, but that's. You're
Yeah.
just able to pin it down and say definitively, yep, this is what. Just.
We'll find out.
Yeah,
We'll find
find
out.
out.
Yeah.
40 North Ave. The system itself is stable. There has not been any breakout. I monitor it. Steve Donatelli and I monitor it. That one, and the other one that's not on the agenda, so I'll say anything. Have reached out to the property owner. I haven't received a response. However, with that said, as long as the system is stable, he knows that the clock is ticking and he has the 2 years. And unless we need to take further action,
Does the present owner have 2 years from when he took possession of the property? 2 years, so he was already shy.
correct,
He's aware of that.
correct. We sent him a letter. Matter of fact, we sent him, and that's when we received the pumping slip, because I had not received a pumping slip from him, and reminded him of that the clock started ticking 2 years from the date that there was the breakout. So he's aware of
Okay.
that. I just wanted, and I've reached out to him, I reached out to him by text too. Haven't heard back from him yet. I'll give him a couple of more days just to keep that line of communication open. Again, another instance of where we, want to work with you and help you bring your property into compliance. But I go by it all the time. I stop. Stevie Donatelli does the same thing, and it's stable right now.
It's kind of a messy error stuff. It looks kind of dumb.
I think that he has done a lot with that property since he's taken ownership of it.
Yeah.
He might be
When I go by,
thinking
it
of,
still looks like it's,
Well, sometimes it takes a little while to
yeah.
get the wheels turning, and obviously we're making progress, however slow. We are going in the forward direction.
clock is still ticking.
And sometimes ownership of a property sparks good things.
Mhm.
So let's be optimistic.
Yeah.
And where does that clock stand right now?
So, I mean, I can't tell you the exact date. It's on the calendar in the office. I would say,
2023.
yep. So, and it was in,
The winter.
I have it on a sticky.
was
note
it,
on my
yeah,
computer.
no, I have it on, it's November. What was it? Oh, no, it was October.
Okay, so a year's almost elapsed.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah,
it's
yeah,
almost a year.
absolutely. A
Yeah.
year, absolutely. So, yep.
Okay.
121 Hatford Ave East, we received a complaint from a resident regarding the drainage pipe that was clogged. He was concerned about, his, the impact on the well on his property. John Dudley and I went up and walked the property. Also spoke with the highway, superintendent in Hopedale, Stan, great guy. They went over, Hopedale went over, because the inlet is in Hopedale, the outlet is in Mendon. And John also reached out to Stan, and long story short, what was causing the blockage was a beaver dam.
Ah,
So that's has since been resolved. Notified the property owner, actually went on the property that day, knocked on the door, there was no answer, didn't walk around the property. Came back to the office, called the property owner, let him know we were on his property because he had cameras up and identified who we were. If he had any questions or any concerns, let him know what was going on. I didn't hear anything. Since then, Hopedale, John called me, Hopedale went up there, took care of the problem. I went by today, I stopped, and everything is stable. The
so
water
the
level is way down.
damming part was on the Hopedale side?
Yeah.
Dam-
Yep. And Stan was right on it, worked collaboratively with John and with the Board of Health too. So shout out to Hopedale Highway
Yeah,
Department.
no, I noticed some construction going on down there, some stone and it
Yep.
looks like a standpipe, maybe a
Yep.
clean out cap.
Yep, and they put a cap on it too.
Yeah,
I forgot to
so,
say that. Yep.
They've sort of
Mhm.
they're preparing in case something needs to be done again. Maybe it won't be as
Dramatic.
involved because they've made some.
Yeah, well, the concern, and for the neighborhood too, I mean, this gentleman saw water, coming out onto his property and he was concerned about it. So now that they've rectified that, hopefully that, I mean, unless something extreme happens, that they'll be able to maintain that water level and that resident won't have to be concerned any longer.
Maybe there's another opportunity for another letter of thank you,
Oh, there you go. Yeah,
to the Hopedale, folks in Hopedale, as well as to
yes,
John,
yes.
right?
Yeah, good idea.
Make a note of that. Cause I'm gonna come see you about these notes, Jack,
All right.
but I can be reminded about what these letters are that have to be done.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea. We should
And you
even
can
have
put
it.
John's at the same time with say, the landfill and the heater.
This is true. Kill
Yeah.
two birds.
Yeah.
Yeah. We could do that. We can afford the piece of paper, come on.
Hey, it's up to you, baby.
The food inspections, just continue with them. Two things. One was the, outside grill up at Imperial, went up there. They did file their permit, went up there 2 weeks ago over Labor Day weekend, I think it was. There were a couple of deficiencies that I noted. I went back this past Saturday and I inspected them and, they brought everything up to code. Really a pleasure working with that organization, and the two individuals that run that grill were very appreciative of the insight and the education conversation that we had. And then today I inspected one of our local restaurants and really truly was really happy that my previous inspection with them, I had made some suggestions to them regarding maintaining logs, temperature logs, cleaning logs and things like that. There was a couple of issues with whether they were labeling the food inside that they keep inside the refrigerator or even in the freezer. You need to identify what it is when it was stored, the date that it was stored and things like that. So I went there today because they were due for their regular inspection, and and I spoke with the owner and the two chefs that were there and congratulated them because they really took to heart what we had to say, and they've implemented those policies. And the one of the cooks, he said, yeah, at first when you were like logs, I was like, oh, but I realize now, because the thing is that your best defense is a good offense. So you keep those logs, and if I come in and something's out of temperature, and you say, yeah, well, I just checked that temperature just an hour ago, so that must have just happened. That's how you save your inventory. So they took that to heart, and really, I congratulated the owner too on just paying attention. And the willingness to work with the board, with myself, and it was really a pleasure. It was a good day. It was a good day today, for that. I walked out of there. I said, thank you very much. A couple of minor things. I'm going to go back in 2 weeks, but truly, thank you very much.
It's nice when you can help someone develop some good practices.
And that's how I felt. And even both of them, were very appreciative too.
And they understood.
Yes.
They saw the reason for why we are
Yeah.
doing this. And
Yeah.
that
The health and
makes all the-
safety of it,
That makes all the difference, if nobody explains to them, what, blah, 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 they just say, you have to do this, this is it. But if you come in and I'm sure you are all charm and personality. And they love that, and that makes them more responsive.
Yeah, it was rewarding, and that's what I told them. It was rewarding. I left there, happy, really truly happy and appreciative that they actually, took
Did
to
what you
heart.
said.
Well, yeah, and they listen though, you know what I mean? And realize too, though, I guess, like the reward is that they realize that we're actually here to help you. We're not here to bang you on the head. We're here to help you, to educate you, to
Right.
assist you, with maintaining your establishment. So I was really happy.
Very good. Thank you.
That's all I have.
All right.
That's good.
So we'll move on to topics not anticipated within 48 hours. Do you have anything?
I did not.
One question I had,
Please.
if we did anything commentary wise, 35 Cape Road,
35 Cape Road?
we ever engaged
Not familiar with that property.
Warehouse?
the warehouse?
The 23 Cape Road?
Yeah, it must be 20.
Well, they had it as 35 Cape Road in the planning board meeting. I was listening.
Could it be confused with
It's the,
another 35? Because
property that.
Yeah.
Is right after,
behind
it's
Gasco,
come down 140 right after the soccer field.
yeah, behind Gasco.
Looked like on the plan, it's right after the soccer field.
Well, that would
But
be a different
before
property then.
Gas,
Well, it's 35 Cape. I
That
haven't
would
received
be the
anything.
warehouse.
really, on the plan, it was warehouse. So is it something different than 23 and an additional?
Maybe there's,
They talked about an initial plan being submitted, but then this one was modified. I just didn't know if that rang a bell.
Not at all.
yeah, the only involvement we've had recently with the warehouse behind Gasco was you mentioned they put a trailer in
Mm-hmm,
with a bathroom
mm-hmm.
and they needed to give you the name of a pumping service.
Yeah, that was 23 Cape Road.
licensed. Yeah, but that was 23.
I never heard of anything of 35 Cape.
It would be the same side of the street.
Yeah. I was looking at the meeting just before I came here and they were going through it. You have this 35 Cape Road.
Unless there's another project
We can ask Dylan.
we haven't been involved in yet.
I mean, it's gonna went from they're gonna use public water coming up on 140,
Yeah.
but they will have a septic leach field in the back. And I know there's a concern there about, well, residents, because residents are on the south side of that facility being proposed. And there's a lot of concern about stormwater and drainage. There's already been issues for the folks behind the
With the
soccer
stock
field.
field. So I'm wondering if that's the property just after the soccer field that is kind of vacant right now.
It is, yeah, because this is, basically right on 140,
Yeah, but
right after the summer. So you haven't seen any? Nope. You never got engaged? Okay. Just
maybe
curious.
maybe it's too soon in the process for us to
Well, typically what's,
get in.
been happening is planning board has typically been pretty good about, you know, when they got a plan coming before them, they submit a request for commentary from the various groups.
I don't know if they have to approve it first before it comes to the other board type things.
No, this is always done before the planning board.
Like a heads up.
Wow.
We can ask Dylan.
Just like what happened with them, they have 32 Hastings.
They just had it, so maybe it'll come
Yeah.
later on this week or beginning of next week.
When was that meeting?
But the latest meeting was, it might have been the first one. But typically we get requested for the commentary so that they have information for the meetings. It was August 12th.
Oh.
And they haven't, I don't know if they met on it beforehand. I just happened to catch that meeting. That was the last planning board meeting. They canceled the one that was scheduled for the 9th last week. The next meeting coming up will be Monday, the 16th. And they'll have 35K again on as a public hearing discussion. I just knew, was curious.
Yeah, but I will look into it.
Not that be necessarily any commentary.
Mhm.
It's a warehousing facility,
Okay.
public water. It's like pretty straightforward as far as, you know, leach field, but stormwater was a concern down there.
Okay. Yeah, I remember the couple that came to us about the soccer field. Yeah. Okay, so anything else?
Well, I had
All right, the only thing I'll bring up is, I had brought up reviewing our fees. And, you send that stuff out when in October,
Yes, the permits for a couple of years, October.
so on the next meeting, I'd like to, make sure that our fees are covering our expenses.
Okay.
So if anything needs some adjusting, and I would also, along those lines, like to have a brief discussion if possible about, projects that are out of the norm. The new types of construction that we're seeing and making sure that we have some sort of an open-ended fee structure. And we want to make sure that we let these applicants know ahead of time so that additional inspections, additional involvement from our town engineer or different consultants, just again, because of the scope of the projects that we're seeing coming our way. Construction in Mendon is changing from what was traditional. I want to make sure again that we cover our expenses.
this be an opportunity where we may want to have Steve and Tom part of that same meeting.
We're kind of down to the wire. We can reach out to them. Because they can dial in, so they don't have to,
Oh, yeah, we wouldn't have to physically. do it,
Yeah.
Just a remote access.
and give them a heads up as to what the discussion will be about. Because just like the blasting project that we've, discussed, that, even though we're being told by the engineer that that is not a large blasting operation, for us, that's a lot, and for our residents, that's a large operation. It's something that we're not used to, that our residents aren't used to. So, we need, most likely, and you alluded to this, we need to be prepared for that type of construction. And some of it's just because the land that's available in town to develop is not the most desirable land and the easiest to develop. So I want to be ahead of that, rather than, behind.
Okay.
Anything else? Nope. All right, good and welfare for the board. Come on, Tom,
I do have a couple,
hit me.
but you might have the same ones.
No, I purposely made sure that I don't have the same ones.
I was just gonna mention, we did get a couple of notices this week, just a couple more situations with that West Nile virus and Triple E. So from the Department of Public Health, September 10th. Department of Public Health today announced 3 additional human cases of West Nile virus. All 3 individuals in their 60s. One is a woman who was exposed in southern Bristol County. Second is the man is 60s, exposed in Suffolk County, in an area already at high risk. And the third is a man who was exposed in Barnstable County. Brings the total number of West Nile virus cases this year to 10, Massachusetts. 4th human case of triple E was also confirmed. This is
That's scary.
yeah, that's scary. The man is 50s with exposure in the area in Middlesex County, which is at high risk.
It's bad this year.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that first frost can't come soon enough.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, the other thing I will mention, and I neglected to from the last meeting, was it's kind of cool is they send us an arborvirus surveillance program report, progress report, program report. And included on that, I've been talking about the West Nile virus and the triple E, but they also include 2 other things. One I can pronounce,
Is that the chimichanga?
dengue fever,
Mhm.
and the other, maybe you know,
Oh, yeah, that's the, Like
chicken
chickamauga.
chicken
Chicken
infection.
I call it Chick-fil-A
There you go.
because I
Yeah,
can't
I
pronounce
would
it.
totally skip over that. Say, anything that I would
I
ever.
just call it Chick-fil-A.
So what is it?
Well, I'm gonna defer either to,
No, it's a, yeah, it's
but
obviously a virus.
there have been instances, just from a statistical standpoint so far. There's 15 total reported cases in Massachusetts for the chikungunya virus and 93 for dengue fever.
Yep.
And they do a breakdown by county. And the high ones, Suffolk County and Middlesex County,
Mhm.
are the high ones for the dengue fever.
Can you spell that to me?
Sure. CHIK UNGUNYA.
GUNYA. Okay, got it. A
Chicken.
viral infection from a mosquito bite.
Yeah,
People get this by being bitten by a mosquito infected with the virus. People can't spread the virus to each other. Symptoms require medical diagnosis, treatment, pain medications, fluids. There's no cure or vaccine for it. Treatment is aimed at relieving symptoms. Most people feel better within a week or so after a virus runs its course. Some people have long lasting joint and muscle pain. So it's a viral thing.
Just like ticks.
something else.
It's not just Lyme disease.
Mhm.
That's it.
All right, today, on the news this morning, I saw 2 things that were very interesting. It seems as though, our teenagers may be turning to nicotine pouches.
Hmm.
They come in containers that remind me of, snuff.
Yep.
Tobacco.
Yep.
They're pouches that they put under their tongue and they dissolve.
Hmm.
I don't know where they came from, who's manufacturing them, or what tobacco rules have any kind of effect on the sales of them. Just something I happened to see on the news this morning. Also, there's talk about putting warning labels on messages on social media sites, alerting people just like you would on a package of cigarettes, to the side effects, anxiety, depression, etc. It's something that's being worked on. I don't know where that's going to end up, but obviously there's a lot of good things that come from those sites when used properly. And unfortunately, we've seen the downside
Mhm.
in some of our young people when the sites are misused,
Right,
like anything else.
yeah.
So those are the two things that I have. And, if I see more, I'll get more information, or anybody here hears anything, especially about those
Yeah,
nicotine pouches.
Yeah.
So they become like lozenges.
That's what I'm thinking, yeah. So rather than, you open up the can of tobacco and rather than grabbing a pinch, you grab a pouch.
Hmm.
And I don't know what the purification is, but they were good sized pouches.
It's like a tea bag.
Not as big as a tea bag. I'm gonna say at least 1/3 of a tea bag. But again, they reported it was either NECN or Fox News this morning.
I'll have
They-
to, we'll have to look
Underneath
into
their
that.
tongue.
I'm assuming this pouch element probably
that-
dissolves as you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
FDA approved?
I
I would
don't.
doubt it.
Yeah, I'm gonna look into.
First I heard of it, and, if I didn't write it down right away and I had to wait for a meeting, I probably would have forgotten to mention it because
I'll look it
it
up.
was a small blip
Yeah.
on the news, but
Hmm.
there was video to go along with it. That's how I know
Yeah.
about the container
Hmm.
and what it looks like when you open the container up. Almost reminded me of the size of, those, ammonia things.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It's not sniffing salts,
Yeah.
when you,
Yeah,
with the gauze
Yep.
on the outside, that's a little bit bigger than something like that. That's sort of what it reminded me of.
and then it's gonna sit there, so that means years down the line, they're
Teeth
gonna end up with
Yeah.
cancer.
Mouth cancer.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly.
On that sort of note, have we heard any more about, the one on Route 16, that anything?
No.
But they're back in business again.
Yes.
Mhm.
They did close, that's the time that we.
Mhm.
said.
Anything else? Set the next meeting, please.
All right, I have September 25th.
$7:00.
7:00.
Ask for a motion to adjourn. Nobody has anything else?
I so move.
Second.
All in favor?
I.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you, everybody.